Greetings once again, heroes. Duuz-Diz-Din, back with more My Hero Academia. Previously, we start to see how society has somewhat started to collapse, with several villains having escaped from prison, with All for One having released them all across the country. The heroes have their work cut out for them, especially since several have quit because of the strain of what's been going on. Despite still being injured, Best Genius is doing his best to save as many lives as he can. But while some still trust in the heroes, the populace is growing more and more dissatisfied, with even civilians taking matters into their own hands, causing more damage than good. We visit the backstory of Hawk, learning of his abusive childhood, his criminal on-the-run father, his do-nothing mother, and the fact that it was Endeavor who captured his father, freeing him from this life of torment. Someone encouraging Hawks to be better, to be able to give his mother a better life. And though it was her who ultimately sold him out to Dobby, she ran in the hopes of both saving herself and not causing more of a burden for him. So Hawks knows what he must do now. Put it all out there himself, tell the people the truth, and hope that that might just be enough to give them somewhat of a fighting chance. Meanwhile, as Endeavor recovers in the hospital, still tremendously wounded, the people are all but calling for his head, demanding he do something about the current situation, demanding to know what he's going to do. It is the essence of desperation that he has reached, knowing that he can't fight his own son. And though he laments the situation he has found himself in, it is then that his family arrives, with even his wife Frey appearing before him for the first time in a long time, demanding he stop wallowing in self-pity and do something to finally come to a decision about his son. What'll happen next? Join me as I find out, won't you? Oh, to be approached by you, whom many think will soon be the #1 hero. I never even dreamed of it. What a good fortune. Our Himura family has long and distinguished history. I love his tie, so we believe he can provide a spouse befitting for the top hero. See, practices like this, sir. It was a thing in Japan. I don't even know if it's still a thing, but it comes up a lot where, I mean, you're basically selling off your child in the hopes of having your family remain in good standing, basically. She was a woman like ice. It was more or less made to look like an arranged marriage, but this was a quirk marriage. Choosing a spouse to make one's own quirk stronger and pass it on. The purpose of the marriage was to have babies. That's what I wanted. If my flame quirk and the ice quirk of the Hummer family were to mix, I thought we could give birth to a hero who could surpass even All Might. And even though the hero family was once prestigious, they were now struggling. While the assassins prestige of the #2 hero and the bride price? What? The bride price? I think that's a misspelling. Her father easily agreed to my proposition. Yeah, to be essentially sold off by your own father. It's absolutely no wonder that in a lot of series that have stuff like that, the woman ends up running away. It's like better to live on the streets than to be forced into something you'd want no part of. She could have refused. However, even knowing that it was a quirk marriage, she became my wife for the sake of her family. Yeah, duty over anything else. Do you like flowers? Yes, they're very pretty. Strong, but seeming like she'd melt and vanish at one touch. Ray, are you alright? I'm not alright. That's why I came. You're not the one suffering the most right now, because you're not the only one who didn't see that child. It is a sad thing, too, because everything about the Todoroki family is... And the thing is, I always love the fact that the mom understands that it is both her failing as well as Enji Todoroki's that led to the suffering of their children. Yes, he made her life hell with what he did, but at the same time, she could have been more proactive, and it definitely would have been a struggle, but there's more that she feels like she could have done. Even just taking the children and running, but... probably had a hope that things could have changed. Pretty badly burned. I can't feel a thing. That guy's my dad. He won't die from something like that. Even if he wanted to die, his position as the #1 hero won't allow it. It's about time he appeared in public. I hope I can see his pathetic face soon. I can't wait. It's taking so long to get here. Enji Todoroki, Mom, Fuyumi, Natsu, Shoto. Look at me from the depths of hell. The wrong way to put out a fire. Damn. Oh, that title. Hey, why? It's a day off, so why won't you do your quirk training with me? Why are you suddenly saying you can't do it? I've told you over and over already. It's for your own sake. I'm leaving now. This is an unusual situation. His quirk factor shows a stronger tendency towards the flame quirk, but his body appears to have taken after his mother's side more. In other words, his body seems to tolerate ice and the cold better than flame. Anyway, if you look like you're trying for a designer baby, the way that's described is absolutely, in this quirk area, it's taboo, so I think you should stop. Anyway, please keep Toya from using his quirk as much as possible. In the worst case scenario, he could burn himself with his own flames and be badly injured. Toya, I thought you could surpass All Might, because your flames are stronger than mine. But why? You say 62 municipalities today, too. Oh, that's not a word I see a lot. Municipalities. As long as we have All Might, there's no way we would yield to evil. Fuyumi's already here. Oh, okay, this isn't that half of the story. There's another half to all of this. I think we're getting just Enji's side of things, not Toya's, for the most part. Hey Fuyumi, why do you think I can't do quirk training anymore? I don't know. I'm just a little burned, that's all. I can take it just fine. I know my body better than anyone, but I don't want you to get hurt either. Don't like it. You don't understand. Girls wouldn't understand. But I'm worried about you. I've already decided. I really want to surpass him. You're the one who lit this fire under me, Dad. Yeah. Yeah? See, whereas Endeavor is just like, yeah, we should. Toya, you need to sit this out, you know. You're just gonna end up hurting yourself. It's just like, there's a place of understanding. It's just like, okay, we don't want the kid getting hurt. We need to back down. But it's like, well, he already pushed him in this direction. It's what the kid wanted, you know. His dad was probably never more happy than when Toya was like showing how powerful and capable he was. Toya was essentially going to be the ultimate masterwork of his father. He was everything his father could have wanted, at least in terms of personality. Unfortunately, not in terms of ability, because of all the wrong reasons. That's too much. It's too cruel. Toya already knows what you want for your kids. No matter what I say, he comes back with new burns every day. He also takes after me in foolishness. There's only one way to make him give up. Toya cannot surpass All Might. And here's where the terrible decision comes in. It's like, is both Enji's ambition as well as what he thinks is mercy. If he thinks that he can get his son to give up, maybe that'll help. Not really understanding that by doing what he's about to do, he pushes him further. And I think that's why Ray went along with it. I think that's why she went along with it. Because it's this kind of thought that, okay, maybe this is the best way of going about things. Because Ray has shown herself to be a little too much of a pushover, to not be someone who fights back, and that's why it boils over essentially onto Shoto's face later. You know, it's why she went along with the quirk marriage, it's why she went along with having a baby, it's why she went along with having multiple babies, and it just comes off to the kid like, you're trying to replace me? Oh man, jeez. Oh god. Like, it is so despicable. It is so despicable. Like, it's so wrong. It is so wrong. It comes from all the wrong places. It comes from all the wrong places. Dad, I can surpass All Might too. Look, I can use such strong flames now. I've been practicing all this time. I can do it. I can surpass All Might, so look at me. No, why can't you understand? Why can't you understand even after getting burned so badly? Toya, look outside of yourself. Go play with Natsu and Fuyumi. Make friends at school. There's a wide world out there outside of being a hero. Don't you get it? Then you'll forget. He doesn't even see what he's saying to his son. Like, the absolute irony of it all. Like, look outside of yourself, and it's just like, dude, what have you been doing? The example you've shown to your son is anything but what you're saying. Again, you lit this fire, Enji Todoroki. All the kids at school say they're going to be heroes. There's no way I can understand, because I am your son. Toya, you need to cool. You're the one who lit this fire under me, Dad. It won't go away. I can't pretend it never happened. Look at me, Endeavor. Look at me. And of course his resentment went straight towards Shota. Because, I mean, what Shota represents, of course he has resentment towards his youngest brother. It's like, he's just a creation to replace him. It's like, how could he not? How could he not feel resentment? From now on, Shota will not be allowed to be near the other children. I have work so I cannot watch him all the time, but I have hired help to do that. You should not let Toya out of your sight. He has an ice-cold snot bubble. That child wants you to look at him. I can only show him the world of a hero. Like, he understands he has no idea what the fuck he should be doing. He thinks he has an idea, but no, he knows. Like, I fucked up. And I don't know how to fix this. I thought doing it this way might alleviate something, and it went in the completely opposite direction. He wanted his cake in to eat it as well. Hira, you're just running away, Dobby. Oh wow, we didn't even have another thing. Huh, Toya. 12 and 8. Let's play. Okay. Yeah, that scene with us seeing them play. Yeah, so it was a mistake previously because we saw this anime-only scene of them playing, and Toya had red hair, but here it's pure white. Are you okay? Don't look at that, Shota. They're from a different world than you. Can I just play with Toya and the others once? No, you have training. I was wrong back then. Shota didn't do anything wrong. The dad was wrong too. We're failures, so he never talks to us. It's amazing if you think about it, having kids he doesn't need. That's what modern hero is. You've told me a million times. Why don't you go tell sis next time? Are you blaming me too not to? Please don't. I'm telling you because you're the only one who understands. You know, right? All the women in our family are useless. Yeah, and Toya is essentially just instilling this kind of resentment in his brother, whereas Fumi kind of just gets to go about doing other stuff. Natsuo has to deal with his brother every night, just being like, father was wrong, father did this, father did that, it's father's fault, he's to blame. Like, you're seeing how everything took shape after a while. Hey, you're planning on going to the mountains again, aren't you? Why don't you try playing with your classmates sometimes? I don't need friends. Our worlds are different. Hey, do you really want to become a hero? To me, it seems like you're bound by your father and suffering. So yeah, there are lots of paths, and you have countless choices. Don't just look at your father, look outside the rest of the world. I want you to find something you really want to be out there. What do you know, Mom? Do you read a self-help book or something? Grandma and Grandpa were poor, that's why they sold you, right? You had no choice but to do as they said. That's why I was born. You were complicit too, Mom. Oh, damn. I honestly don't remember that line. Holy shit. He's right though, and that's the worst part. Jeez, but to say this, and she can't. There's no way she could have a response to that. How do you respond to that? Like, how would you respond to that? To punish him would just build even more resentment, because he's being punished for saying exactly what happened. The fire wouldn't be extinguished. I was younger and smaller than most kids in my grade, and I finally hit puberty. Yeah, we're seeing the whole thing. Okay. I thought we had two different flashbacks, but no, I guess it's the whole thing. I finally hit puberty. My body changed. My flames also changed from red to blue. I see. It is like a bodily function after all. When I get excited, there was a direct link to my firepower. I'm so amazed Dad would be so surprised. Oh, but damn it. Why does getting excited make me cry? Oh, getting excited makes him cry. Huh. Oh, I didn't actually realize that. Why Dobby keeps getting those bloody tears. Wow, Anime, you are doing some heavy lifting. Because some of this, I'm like, I don't remember that being explained. Or maybe I just went by it so fast. That Kanaseko peak on your next day off. Oh, burn. He's been practicing on places where no one could see. Hey, you're still. It's really cool. Make sure you come. I might be able to get to Shoto's level. I don't think I'd lose to All Might either. I'm sure you'd have to accept it too. It'd make you glad I was born. Oh, why didn't you stop, Toya? And here he is, blaming Ray. I told you. Don't bully Mommy. Don't bully her. Shota, you get out. Has nothing to do with you. What do you know, Mom? My options were limited, but I chose and moved forward with my own feet. At least, I thought that I would try to keep smiling, but I couldn't stop him. You did it. I'm not going to. You do it. Hey, what can you see right now? Stop looking at me with those eyes. Stop looking at me with those eyes. Those eyes, yeah. And it wasn't. Oh, man, they made a connection I don't remember. She couldn't fight back again. She saw it in her son. She saw it in Enji. And then next thing she knows, she was seeing it in Toya. I mean, in Shoto. Gee. And it all just boiled over. I was made isolated at the hospital, and I heard about Toya there, and then my mind broke completely. And it shows that it wasn't just Shoto, it wasn't just Endeavor. It was what happened to Toya too. Everything just built on itself, and it's no wonder she had a breakdown. Like everything just compounded on itself. It's so cruel and ugly. It really did show that Endeavor ran away from responsibility. Like if he wanted Toya to stop so much, he should have done something. But no, he was too busy training Shoto. It really does show why Natsuo and Shoto can't really forgive him. Because, coming now after everything is said and done, years later, when everything is calmed down and Endeavor is pretty much getting everything he could possibly want, and him feeling sorry is just like, dude, it's been years. Don't come out tears. I'm not gonna cry. You didn't go to Sekoto part. By a gun, I think I would have just added fuel to the flames of his emotion. No, I didn't think I would have known what to say to him. Bad. It was the same for me. It's so hot, it won't go out. It was really hot. Oh, you reap what you sow. I mean, all you taught me was how to increase my firepower. Never taught him how to control it that day. If I had only been able to give everything up, but after I killed Toya, I couldn't go back. All I could do was concentrate on Shoto. As your feelings escalated, you became repulsive to me. I even started to see vestiges of you and your children. Even though I knew we were breaking apart, I was too scared to dig too deep. Yeah, for Fuyumi, it was easier just to kind of distance herself, basically. It shows how a family copes with what is abuse? Like, seriously, what is just abuse? But it also shows there's multiple levels to it. How one person's thinking can lead to violence, another person's thinking can lead to just rolling over for all the bad damage that is done, only to cause them to lash out in different ways. Yeah, it's honestly a surprise Rei didn't turn to alcoholism. For Fuyumi, it was just easier to distance herself from everything that was going on. All I did was keep up appearances. You started it all, and you were the cause. If I had been able to knock some sense into Toya, he wouldn't have turned into Dabi. And Natsuo, he knew Toya's emotions. Like, he had to listen to it every night. But I think he just felt like it was just his brother venting. I don't think he thought it would lead to anything more. And, it was one thing to think that their brother had died, but to find out, no, he was still out there, killing people, basically letting out his rage and emotion. And it's just like, to have had things go in that direction, it's like, it would have almost been better if he died. But Dabi also shows that in just constantly blaming Endeavor, he has become something much worse. And I might have been able to make Soma for Shoto. The responsibility is not yours to bear alone. Even if your spirit's broken to pieces, we will help you stand. You have no choice but to fight, Dabi. Are you really Frey? Our child who must have suffered so much more than we did. He called me mom again, even though he had every right to hate me. He made friends at UA High School and saved our family. Shoto is our family's hero. Before coming here, I talked to mom. I thought you couldn't fight anymore. I thought I had no choice but to do it myself, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Once you're done crying, stand up. I love how he says that without even looking at him directly. Because it's like there's a part of him that still doesn't want to humanize his father, but he also understands, like, I need you in this. You can't just sit on the sideline. We'll all go stop Toya together. Shoto. Sorry, we were eavesdropping. Will you let us join your family trip? Ashidas, Hawks, or at least from the hospital yesterday. I gathered a bunch of information. A deep bow. I deeply apologize for my son's actions. That's not why we came out. Please stop, madam. We just wanted to ask you some questions about Dolly. Even though eavesdropping is illegal denim. I'm like, wait, did I read that right? What's illegal denim? The source of his resentment can become a hint for how to handle him. We can ask him about how he survived and how he transformed into Nabi in person. I used to watch a lot of old videos of you, but I never thought that your tenacity when you were young would snowball into this. I'm shocked. I love how casual he's being. This didn't come up when you were talking about Toya, but was Shoto's burns you too? Close. It was me. He called me mom again even though he had every right to hate me. I see. I couldn't confront those two. I gave up and abandoned them. Shoto, you're so cool. Like, he's not saying it directly, but it's just like, kid, you're a lot stronger than I was. Like, I was never able to confront my mother or father, even like a fraction of what you've done. So, like, every family relationship is different. So for Hawks, it's kind of like, it was easier for him to dismiss his family. That's why I will say it in a lot of videos. It is everyone's individual choice how they approach their family. For Hawks, he never forgave his father. Honestly, who knows if he ever fully forgave his mother? But he knew at least to some degree he wanted to help out his mother and maybe things would be a little bit different. But he essentially just put her somewhere and never looked back. For Shoto, he never ran from any of it. He never ran from his mother, he never ran from his father. Who knows if he even could? But he stood up to both of them and tried to make something different, something better. Like Deku said, there's a part of him that wants to forgive his father, who as long as has forgave his mother. But for his dad, he's not quite there yet. Maybe at some point, but right now, no. And never outside its hell right now. Yeah, Shigaraki, Dabi, Himika Toga, Spinner, Skeptic, and 132 escaped Liberation Front members, and 7 near high-end Nomus. Their whereabouts are all unknown. In addition, other than Tartarus, 6 other prisons have been breached, and at least 10,000 prisoners have been released into the wild. Yeah, 10,000 prisoners. I don't know if the last episode, highlighted that. 10,000 prisoners. It's a good thing that 7th one was never broken into, right? They have also lost the ability to bring heroes together. Heroes who have seen which way the wind's blowing are still resigning one after another. Civilians who don't have complete faith in heroes and taking up arms and fighting villains themselves. And the current state is one where injury is causing more injury. Currently, the government is requesting rescue teams of heroes from other countries, but since the Safety Commission is at a standstill. I've seen a preview of her. I'm not gonna say who it is, but oh man. And some of these have actually been featured in the last movie, too. Actually, should I say that? They've all been featured in My Hero movie at one point. I'll leave it at that. Paperwork to dispatch heroes can't be completed. Oh, I actually don't remember that being said as well. That because the Public Safety Commission, I don't think the manga ever highlighted that without the Public Safety Commission, so much cannot be done. Just so much can't be done at this point. All this happened in just 2 days. As your wife said, you have no choice but to fight, and it's the same for us. Responsibility for the current situation is not the number one hero's burden to bear alone. It is not just your families either. Why? What? Even if what Dawi said about the Todoroki family was true, I'm sure things are different now. I want to support people who are trying to do what's right, and so let's have a team up of top 3 heroes. I've already bet my life on Hawks. I'm used to walking down hellish runways. Look, with your family and us, doesn't even make the burden a bit lighter, and make you feel like you can walk again. Yeah, it's just until we stop, Toya. Yeah, we'll come together for this, but anything else. And again, it's Natsuo not forgiving Enji. It's just I don't forgive you still. This is for Toya. We are definitely not there yet, if ever. To get out of this, first we must explain to the public. After Dabi's accusations, we cannot avoid that. I've given thought to roughly how we can respond. There's still one thing I'm unclear about. What is one for all? And I mentioned it earlier. While we were fighting, I never said something about one for all. Do you know what that is? Does it have anything to do with the supervillain All for One? One for all. We must find out the truth behind what that is. And again, I don't quite remember this moment either. It's used for using a private line. It's possible Shigaraki is after me. Yep, Deku? Deku, you bastard! Oh god, he's bleeding from the mouth. Why are you still asleep when I'm awake? It has to be. There's no time to be said when this guy's awake. Sorry, Sue, thanks. They finally left. And when I saw his injury, I imagined it was bad, but he's even louder than ever. Friends, Sakio and the Kaminari can also be discharged. Really, that's great. Miracle, the Midoriya's body is fine, right? That's what I heard, but I'm worried. It's not his body that's in trouble. Hey, great explosion, murder god dynamite. He said that without missing a beat. Great explosion god. Oh my god, I can't even. Great explosion murder god dynamite. Are you alright? Do I look alright? We would like to speak with Izuku Midoriya. Right now, All Might said to leave them alone. All Might did, and never said Shigaraki was after Midoriya. If you add All Might to that equation, one in the world is one for all. The secret's coming out! Young Midoriya. I can feel it, the me inside of the young man inside one for all. Right now, you're talking with your previous wielders, aren't you? Man, I didn't think that was gonna take up the whole episode. Jeez. And that was a lot. Maybe that all was in the manga, and I just really don't remember some of it. But if so, that was denser than I remember. Like, that was a lot. It's like now having the full picture is like, damn, just everything about that film. And it's easy to have an opinion on something from an outside perspective too. Like, I've known people in those situations from the mom's perspective, from the son's perspective. I've known people who have forgiven their parent, but only to an extent. People who seemingly have completely forgiven their parent. People who have never forgiven their parents. That's why I say it's the duty of the person to forgive, because it is. That's their prerogative. You know, to weigh in after a certain point feels like it's not my place. You know, I've waited when it was like they're still in that relationship and it's like they gotta get out of there, and they do. And some never look back. But others, you know, when all is said and done, they're still like, well, that's still my dad. You know, that person was there for us in certain extent. It's like, I don't feel right judging that, you know? It's so easy to judge from an outside perspective, but it's like, could I have really done anything different if I was raised in that environment? If I had only known from the outside looking in, if I only ever knew after all was said and done. Ugh. And the irony is not lost on me, as the top 3 characters in My Hero are always Bakugo, Deku, and Shoto. People love Bakugo, I think, just because of his attitude for some reason, despite the fact that there are people who hate him because he was a bully. There's also people who love him because he's slowly turning that around. But the thing that always fascinates me about My Hero Academia is that it tackles so many problematic aspects in such interesting ways. The relationship between Bakugo and Deku is one of a bully, of an abuser and the abused. But this series doesn't shy away from the fact that there's a place where those things come from. A misguided place. For Deku, he ultimately fought back. And to a certain degree, he never stopped fighting back against Bakugo the moment he was able to get on that level. But it also involved him getting hurt in the process. It's very much a situation where an adult really needed to step in. But in a lot of cases, an adult never steps in too. Especially in Japanese culture. And shoot, if you've seen Jujutsu Kaisen, you know how that goes. Sometimes the abuse fights back and they're able to beat back the bully and able to show their guts and show their stuff. Yeah, I've been around parents who tell their kids, hey, someone comes after you, you fight back if nobody's gonna step in for you. But for some kids, shoot, even when I was a kid, there were showings that sometimes when a kid is being abused by a bully, that's how you get guns coming to school. But we also saw that Bakugo's bullying came from a place of entitlement. And that is why I also say I am scared of what I say and do around children, because you don't know how that's going to influence them. For Bakugo, it was all these people saying, oh, you have such a great ability, you're going to be someone great in the future. That gave the little shit a sense of entitlement that bred into him being a dick. For Deku, his mother not, reaffirming that he could be a hero in the future ended up just giving him a complex, basically. It is great that his never say die attitude was rewarded in the end, but it also led him to a lot of heartache. For a lot of people, it would be best if they gave up in that situation. I hate to say it, but he got extremely lucky that someone who could literally gift him a quirk came along. And it's great that it paid off in such dividends, because Deku's like the only person who's really been able to stand up to this power and the like. For the Todoroki family, you see how the family life impacted their children differently because of the way it was kind of based around them. Rei rolled over because she thought it was the best thing to do for her family, and she kept doing that until her choices were put under a spotlight by Toya saying, you're complicit in this. And now you want to try to say something? It's like, Angie, you made your wife into a doormat. And when Toya showed the littlest bit of resentment to her, she folded because he called her out on what actually happened. And what could she say? And he just kept blaming her. And it sucks too, because it sounds like I'm victim blaming Ray. But at the same time, when it comes to children, it's a parent's job to stand up because they can't. She was the only one in that position who could have done something, and she recognizes that. But they all recognize they could have done at least something differently. But everyone feels that way after a tragedy. Fuyumi thinking that, hey, I could have said something, but I never did. Natsuo saying that he understood what Toya was going through, but he never took it seriously. And never thinking that he could have everything he wanted. It's just like, well, Toya couldn't do it, so we'll just keep having more, and maybe Toya will just give up, and we'll eventually get to what I want. And everything will be right as rain. And it's just like, no, it went in the complete opposite direction. And instead of actually owning up to what happened and recognizing how he fucked up, it's like, no. This is your fault, woman. Why didn't you stop him? Making it just out that Enji makes all these decisions and Ray just deals with the fallout. It's like the fact that Enji didn't realize that outright replacing his son would have a negative effect. It's like, bruh. It very much is a situation where they were called out. They had no response to what their son was going through because that would require them being parents beyond just raising the children. It's just like, no, their emotional state is also something you have to look after. It is a mess. And you kind of can see the way the family feels in today. Endeavor blames himself, as he really should. Like, he recognizes, oh god, I've done some terrible things. But it's understandably this feeling of too little too late that goes around the whole family. It's hard to blame Ray for having her mental breakdown, but at the same time she recognizes that she could have been a bit more proactive in things. That she had choices that she put in the hands of other people, and that caused problems. Fuyumi not intervening now takes the place of her constantly trying to be a part of things. Not standing up to his father in any way, shape, or form about what was going on, now takes the form of him constantly calling his father out for his action. But again, it's too little too late. The damage has been done. But it's a kind of, I guess it's more of a thing of do this now, and maybe that stuff will never happen again. But man, if all of that was in the manga, damn, that is a lot. It just makes so much sense that Dabi never stopped. I mean, it was put all out there. Like, that's what shocks me, because it's just like, man, we really had everything just laid out. The fact that it's just like, he was raised basically with conditional love of his parents. Like, oh, you become a great hero and your parents will love you. Oh, what? You can't produce fire like we want you to? Push him to the side. Making it seem like, oh, we don't love you anymore. It's just like, no, that's not the case. But he couldn't take that. It's just like, we do not want you burning yourself anymore, son. That's what we want. We understand that your powers are hurting you. It isn't push our son further into hurting himself. It is no, pull him away from that. That was the responsible thing to do. Unfortunately, it's like Endeavor just stopped. And Endeavor just stopped. Maybe that would have been fine, but the fact that they kept producing children and just getting to Shoto is just like, oh, so now we love this child more because he can do everything that we wanted him to do. It's like, of course, Toya lashed out. Does that make him right for doing so? No. And he realizes later down the line, like, okay, I should have lashed out at Shoto, and never was the one who was wrong, but still. And of course he couldn't give up on being a hero because that's all their society is built on. It's what Endeavor keeps pushing towards. Okay, I've gone on long enough. If you've gotten this far, thank you so much. Hey, how about subscribing so you don't miss out on the next one, where I'll talk more ad nauseum about the hellish Todoroki family or something else. But this was the chewiest chunk of My Hero Academia, and I want to hear from you. Put it all in the comments. Let me hear it. Let me have it. Tell me how I'm wrong or how I'm right or how I'm a dumbass. And I hope to see you in the next video. Till then, bye-bye.